Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here today with a ship with me. These are all orders that came through over the weekend. Some pretty big dollar sales, some cool vintage sales, some really interesting pieces. I can't wait to kind of like walk you through what they were, how long I had them for, what I got them for, what I sold them for. Really just kind of bring you into this part of my process. I hope you all have had a great week. I hope you have a really fun weekend coming up. But before we get started here, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling onto my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, I've got lots to do. I've got a packed afternoon, so we need to get these things packed up and in my car and off to the post office. So why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipment. So the first piece that sold here was this cute Longchamp backpack. Longchamp is one of those brands that's like always a pickup if you see it. I think I've only found this at the thrift one other time. This one I found at the bins. And it had a little like scuffing and smudges from wear, but nothing like too bad. It's not something that you would really like notice unless you were looking right at it. It just looks like a bag that you've had for a little bit. Typically when I have bags, I do like to stuff them to keep their shape. I do the same thing with shoes. It just gives it a little bit more of like an upscale experience. But these, I wanna say these retail, I think around $150. And in really great condition or new with tags, you can pretty easily anticipate getting like $75 to $80, even up to $100 for certain colors. But since this is in a little bit of rougher shape, you know, I was looking somewhere between like 30 and 50, which, you know, I got at the bin, so that's a great profit. Even if I was paying, you know, $8, $9 for this at the thrift store, that would have been a plenty good profit for me. These are very, very classic designs. They don't change them. This has been like the same design for, it's gotta be like 30 years. And that's something that Longchamp is like known for, right? Like this is, I remember these being really popular when I was in college, and that was like more years ago than I care to admit. And I remember them being popular before that. I remember one of my aunts had one and I always thought it was so pretty, and it's still popular. These pieces, the La Pliage line, are like certified workhorses. They last forever, they hold a ton of stuff, they're made really well, and again, they're really classic, they'll never be out of style. Anyway, so I had this listed for just about 1 month, had a lot of interest in it. I had it listed for $52. My sidekick sent an offer for $44, which was accepted with a $1 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $34.20. I hope she loves it. This is kind of a cool mini backpack silhouette. It's not really big. It's not tiny. Like this can still fit quite a bit of things. Like you can put your notebook, you can put, you know, a bunch of different things in there, but it's not like a huge backpack. I just think it's like a really versatile size, great for travel. Next up, this was a great find. So this is from Free People, and I found this at the bins, and it had it's like in fantastic condition, except it had a couple of specks all over it. It looked kind of like pen ink, so you know I went right in with alcohol, which is something that easily removes pen, and sure enough, everything lifted super well. This is an otherwise, like, again, fantastic condition. It's this quilted like shacket. It's all cotton jersey on the outside, all cotton jersey on the inside. So it's super, super soft and cushy when you're wearing it. And just something that looks kind of like effortlessly pulled together, you know? But these retail for like $189. They are not cheap. You know, it's Free People. Free People is very expensive. And on the resale market for brand new with tags, they are looking like $140, $150. Some of them, I'm assuming like kind of more sold out colors, are going close to retail price. This kind of style is very much trending. Like there are dupes on the market, but you know, most dupes, especially of Free People stuff, the big difference is in the textiles, right? So it's not quite the same. And they're not super cheap, right? Like most of the dupes for something like this is gonna be like $60, $70 when you could just look on Poshmark and maybe find the real deal, gently used, for a little bit more, with the benefit of being able to resell it if you don't love it or if you only wear it for like a year. I will say this thing is quite heavy. That jersey, there's just a lot of fabric to this. Anyway, I had this listed for 3 days and I had it listed for $128. I got an offer for $100. with a $1 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $87.62. Interestingly enough, this was a Mercari sale, and I had like no Mercari sales for a while. And let me know if you have the same experience, because I got this sale and 2 other sales here are from Mercari, and I feel like I go through like fits and bursts with both Mercari and Depop. Like I'll have nothing for 2 weeks and then I'll have like 5 sales on Depop. And same deal with Mercari. I'm hoping that Mercari is starting to climb back up now that they've reinstated seller's fees and it's not all on the purchaser. But either way, this was a Mercari sale and I'm super happy, and I hope that a platform that starts to like tick up, because the more viable platforms that we have and the more different venues that buyers can have good experiences on, like the more buyers there will be in the secondhand buying pool. And that raises the tide for all of us. Anyway, this was a good one. Definitely a find. Definitely a find from the bins. Next up is this adorable little romper from Lulu's. Now Lulu's I don't pick up a whole lot of. And by a whole lot of, I almost never pick up anything. Like there are a couple like bridesmaids dresses that sell really well. But this was brand new with tags, and it was kind of a fun, flirty little silver jumpsuit, so why not? I thought that this would go for New Year's, and it did not. But I knew it would go just because of what it is. It's super fun. Somebody's gonna wear this for a club night and probably donate it right back. Lulu's is just like not a super expensive brand to start with. There's certain dresses that go a little bit viral, and they're good to keep your eyes out for, but you really have to be like keyed into it to know exactly what people are looking for from Lulu's, because Lulu's is one of those stores that is just huge. Like there are so many SKUs on the store. So unless you're really, really keyed into it, I would only really pick up like style pickups, and you really got to have a good feeling in your gut about it. But I would say proceed with caution. I'm interested to hear, like, do you guys pick up Lulu's? Is it a like bread and butter brand for you? If you pick up Lulu's, like what do you pick up? Do you have kind of a rhyme or reason as to like what you go for? Let me know. I'm interested, because this is something that I generally stay away from. So I had this listed for about 4 months at $30, and I got an offer for $22. This was another Mercari sale. And with a $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $18.07. Happy to be moving this on. It is super cute. I hope she loves it. I mean, such a fun little thing. Like this is a statement piece. She will be turning heads when she walks into a room in that little romper. Next up, now this is one that I found from Scotch and Soda. Now Scotch and Soda, this is from their Maison Scotch line, which I believe is just their women's line. Scotch and Soda is one of those brands that is like unexpectedly very expensive. Now the quality is always really nice. They use really nice textiles. They put things together really well. But I've had a few of these Maison Scotch pieces and they don't move all that well. So I do like finding like guys pieces, the kind of like hiking influenced pieces. The women's pieces do not move as well for me. Let me know if you experience the same thing. Like, do you see a lot of Scotch and Soda? I feel like I never even heard of Scotch and Soda until I moved west. I think it's a Dutch-based brand. I know we had one in the mall back in Utah where I lived, and I'm sure there's one somewhere here. But I'm interested to hear other people's experiences of it. Like, do you have things that sat for a really long time versus things that are, you know, essentially bolos from there? Let us know. Either way, I had this for about 10 months. Now it was a pretty small size. I think it was a size small or an extra small, which is just always going to make any garment sit for a little bit longer. But 10 months is still a pretty long time for something like this, especially from a brand like Scotch and Soda. So I had this listed for $32 and I got an offer for $25, which I did accept with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $21.65. And I hope they love it. That is really, really cute. And it was in like impeccably like brand new condition. Next up is a pair of jeans from Frame. Now, Frame is definitely one of the denim brands that I am picking up. Obviously, you want to be keeping your eyes out for more modern cuts, no matter what kind of jeans you get into. I know a lot of people do really well with like American Eagle jeans. I don't really touch them, but baggier jeans, even baggier jeans, I think we are starting to see like the decline, and we're starting to see a little bit more of like the flare take hold here. I'll be keeping my eyes on the trends and keeping you abreast, but in general, I think that's what I'm seeing starting to pop up here. But Frame, definitely one of those incredibly high-end brands. feel like they retail somewhere between like $250 and $280. They're very, very nice. But this is the original straight. So this is a pair of straight jeans with distressing at the knees. To me, a straight fit jean with a high waist is a pretty timeless cut. I think that that kind of worked in the time of skinny jeans. I think it works in the time of baggy jeans. It works in the time of flare jeans. It's not super trendy in general, but either way, Frame is a brand for denim that you should keep your eyes out for. They do resell. If you get a more modern cut, they do resell pretty well. I had these listed for about 6 months. They were a pretty small size, so not altogether too surprising. Generally, things in size like 29, 30, 31, 32, they sell the quickest. These were a 26 or 27, I can't remember, but quite small. So I knew that these were gonna sit around for a little bit longer, but I had them listed for $68 and I got an offer for $55, which I gladly accepted. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $43 even. Great pair of jeans. Next up is this cute, like nubby moto style sweater from Free People. I feel like I've been selling a lot of moto style stuff recently, which is kind of interesting because this was really big back in like the mid-teens. But this is 100% cotton. It's this nice, like chunky knit. It's got this little bit of nubbiness to it. It's an easy thing to just like throw on over like a pair of jeans or whatever, just to kind of give it a little bit of flair. It's like a cardigan plus. Though Free People, I will say, even the chunky sweaters have slowed down significantly in movement and in price that you're getting for them. So do be minding your costs unless you're 100% certain that they're like within the last couple years. If you're sourcing at the bins, you're getting for $1, $2, maybe up to $3. It's not as much of a concern, although it will be more of a concern, you know, if you sit on them for a little bit longer. But unless you're sure it's something that is going to resell really well, or unless you're sure that it's something that's, you know, within the last couple of years from there, or like still in line, just mind your sourcing costs if you're picking it up. So this one I had for about 2 months and I had it listed for $28. And that's kind of where I was seeing sold comps between like 15 and 30. So I had it listed for 28 and I got an offer for 18, which I did accept with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $13.40. Again, watch your sourcing cost on this. Stuff like this that I'm pretty sure is probably about 10 years old from Free People, you know, that's about what you're gonna be getting for it in that like $15 to $25 range. So don't go paying $10, $15 for something like this. All right, next up. Now this one's a doozy and a brand that I was not familiar with. This is Johanna Ortiz. And when I found this, and I found this in the bins, I didn't know the brand, but the tag looked really nice and I just kept coming back to it. I literally left it behind 2 or 3 times and I just kept coming back to it because like the textiles felt so nice and the construction felt so like unusual and high end. And sure enough, like I don't think I remember comping it at the bins. I think I just got it and brought it home. And sure enough, when I got home, I learned exactly how much Johanna Ortiz pieces go for. It's about a $900 shirt. So I guess my spidey senses were spot on. Once you have your hands on enough like higher end stuff, you start to be able to just tell the difference in the quality of the textiles, the quality of the stitching, the quality of the construction. This was a really unusual kind of Western style blouse. It had like a rope detail around the yoke that was kind of in like a scalloped pattern that looks like you would see on the back of like a rodeo shirt. And it had these like incredible dolman sleeves that had this like pickup all the way down the sleeves, and the inside was lined with silk organza. Like it's so over the top nice, you know, like it's just pure luxury. From what I've seen of her stuff, it looks like this is right up her alley. Very kind of like traditional textiles with really like unusual plays on volume. Either way, a designer to be on the lookout for sure. Let me know if you've ever found Johanna Ortiz while you were outsourcing. I don't think she's a particularly big designer, but probably one of those if you know designer. But I'm interested to hear how many people out there have actually found her stuff at the thrift or in the bins or wherever it is that you source. I can't imagine it's a lot of us. Anyway, I had this listed for about 3 months and it was an extra small, so I'm always like hyper conscious of the fact that it's just things like this are gonna take longer to sell. So I had it listed for $108. I think I had lowered the price on it after like looking at some sold comps, but I went back and forth with the buyer and we landed on a price of $75. I found this at the bins for $1, so great price. And with that brought me to a profit of $59. And I hope she loves it. These are the kind of things that like make me happy. And hopefully she'll wear it a couple times, and because it is such a statement shirt, when she's done with it, she'll be able to sell it for the same price that she bought it for. Next up, I love this shirt. I love shirts like this in general. Now this is from a brand called DB Sport, which I've never heard of, but these kind of boho style shirts with like a gauzy material, this is a rayon. I think this would have sold faster if it was a cotton. But anything with embroidery like this, I am going to pick up. It's so not my style, but I love them. You know, they're just not something that I wear, but they are something that I love to look at, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that really love them. Embroidery in general, those are kind of things like when I'm looking through the bins, generally like the things in my first pass that I'm looking for are like interesting textures. So think like wools and interesting sweaters, cashmeres, and burnout velvet, period. Velvet sells very well for me. But also things like embroidery, embellishment, sequins, beading, stuff like that. This is the kind of stuff that's like special. And the kind of stuff, you know, like in my like grander philosophy about reselling, this is the kind of stuff. Now this is a little bit more like everyday wear, but when you get into something that's like heavily beaded or heavily embellished, it's not the kind of stuff that like you wear all that often. So it's really the kind of stuff that it makes sense to like hunt out on the secondhand market. You know, you buy it, you wear it a couple times, and then you move it on to the next person so they can do the same thing. You know, I'm always a fan of like, if you're gonna invest in great basics, stuff that you're gonna wear over and over and over again. Spend the money on your jeans, spend the money on your like basic black sweaters. That's a great place to buy new and splurge a little bit. Obviously, if you can find it on the secondhand market, do it. But this kind of like heavily embroidered stuff, really interestingly textured stuff that isn't gonna get like once a week wear, perfect thing to do on the secondhand market. And this was just so pretty. I had a ton of interest in this shirt though. I had it listed for $34, just about 3 months. And I got an offer for $29. This was the third Mercari sale. So with the $1 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $24.37. They do have the seller's fees now, but it is a lower percentage than say Poshmark takes. So that is promising. Again, love to see Mercari start to like pick up in sales. Next up, this is one that I thought was gonna take a little bit longer to sell just because of the size. This is from Alexia Admor, but this is tulle and it's got like ribbon trim with lace. Like literally like the straps are ribbon with a lace trim. This kind of has a little bit of like a goth witchy look to it. It's double layered tulle over a lining and it's got this pretty black ribbon. Actually, I'm gonna take that out and just kind of tie the whole dress in it. But stuff like this, Alexia Admor, I believe is sold at like Nordstrom. So high end for sure. You know, I wanna say that her dresses retail $200-300. They're pretty expensive, not crazy expensive, but still pretty dang expensive, especially if, you know, this is just for like a one-time wear. But this was, I think, a size extra small. It was tiny. So I thought that this would sit around a bit longer. I'm always aware that when I send off these kind of cocktail dresses, like I know I have a steamer, so like the first thing I do when I get something is steam it. I'm also aware that a lot of people don't have steamers, so I always try to pack them as like flatly as possible, knowing that a lot of these people are probably going to take these like 2 days before the event they have to wear it to. The less they need to iron this or steam this, the better. This is in like perfect condition. It's a cocktail dress, so usually these things show up in my bag and it's, you know, they've been worn once or twice and that's that. You know, I always think about like how successful Rent the Runway is. Like I've used Rent the Runway. I absolutely love it. I'm obviously a textile snob and a clothing snob, so cheapy cocktail dresses just don't do it for me. So, you know, the thing about doing like a secondhand shop is that you can basically pay the same amount that you would be paying to rent it on Rent the Runway and then turn around and resell it after you've worn it for basically the same thing that you bought it for. So all of a sudden the one-time use of that beautiful cocktail dress goes to $0. Anyway, I had this listed for $42 and I had it listed for only 2 weeks. Like I said, this was a very quick sale and this was something that was like an unexpected quick sale. I got an offer for $35 and with a $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $27. And I'm pretty sure Alexia Admor is on Rent the Runway. And I'm pretty sure that the cost to rent one of those dresses is about $40. So do with that information what you may, but that is how you game the system, and you always have a fabulous new cocktail dress. Even if you're not like a reseller, pretty sure everybody here sells a little bit on Poshmark, but that is how you get a fabulous new cocktail dress for every event and get it essentially for free. Next up here, this was another very, very quick sale. This is from Jones, New York. Now this is a vintage nightgown. I'm gonna pick up vintage nightgowns like this. Pretty sure that this wouldn't go for what, say, like a Victoria's Secret nightgown in the same vein would go for, but the style alone told me that this was gonna be a relatively quick sale. It's bias cut, it's silver, it's got a really pretty flattering neckline, a nice like deep V in the back. And again, these are the kind of things that I will pick up when I see them, as long as the price is right. Because it is vintage, it is coming up on 30 years old, which I don't understand how that's the case, because the 90s were only 10 years ago, right? Right? Time flies, y'all. But Jones, New York is one of those like major, you know, department store brands that their stuff, for the price that you get it for, is so nice. Like all the things that I've ever had from them, just like personally, have been like so well made. So anyway, I had this listed for $30 for just 3 days. Like, and again, your litmus test is always gonna be like, can this be worn as a cocktail dress, right? Because I think a lot of these vintage nightgowns are going on to be worn as a cocktail dress. I'm pretty sure that that's what's going on there. And again, I say it all the time, but if you're in your regular thrift store, check the nightgown section, because you never know what you're gonna find. You're gonna find stuff like this, but you might also find like a silk slip dress that looks like a nightgown but isn't a nightgown, but it's gonna be priced like a nightgown, which is almost guaranteed to be cheaper than it would be if it was hanging over in the dress department. In fact, if you have done that, let me know what treasures you have found in the nightgown section of your thrift store. I wanna hear your success stories on this. Anyway, had this listed for just 3 days at $30. I got an offer for $23, which I did accept. With the $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $19.93. I knew this was gonna be a pretty quick sale. I did not know it was going to be that quick of a sale. Oh, next up here, this is a 2-part bundle. It's actually going to one of you guys who has impeccable taste. This is like one of my favorite things that I've ever picked up at the bins. This is like sheer cotton lawn. It's like a lightweight cotton that's got some body to it. Overshirt, right? It's split in the back, buttons all the way down, and this gorgeous navy blue. And I'll tell you, because of what it is, it was kind of hard to photograph, but I think that the concept of what this is really shone through. It's from a Dutch company called Another Woman, which I'd never heard of before. This was 100% just a style pickup. Like this would have been picked up no matter what brand it was, just because of what it was. This is just so like painfully refined, you know, like this looks like something that hangs in the closet of somebody with like, you know, the kind of taste that is classic but different, you know, just that like effortlessly chic kind of style. It's definitely a statement piece, but it's still really like classic and elegant at the same time. Just beautiful. Tough one to fold there. And then the second piece she picked up in the classic and refined department is this beautiful white button down from Theory. Theory makes elevated basics, very expensive brand retail. These button down shirts retail at about $198. They last forever. Theory does basics, they do them flawlessly. Now, this feels brand new to me. This just feels like there hasn't been any wear to it, but it is Theory. And Theory makes stuff really, really nice. I had a Theory shirt. I remember I bought this like, in a former life, I used to do a lot of trade shows, so I had to wear suits. So I remember splurging on a Theory shirt, and I must have gotten it at like an off fifth or something like that, because there's no way that, you know, 23-year-old Julia could have afforded a $200 dress shirt. But I remember feeling like, you know, it when I wore that Theory shirt. And it lasted forever. Like, I think I only got rid of it when I literally like did not fit it anymore. Because these are the kind of things you want to have in your closet, right? Just everybody needs to have a great white button-down shirt that can be worn in like a business setting. I'm not talking about like the big oversized white button-down shirt that I wear all the time with leggings, but I'm talking, you know, something you can put on to be in a more professional setting. Everybody should have one in their closet. And you should consider Theory if you don't have one. because it's one of those brands like Vince where like the retail price is very, very high and the resale price does not match the retail price. You're generally gonna get, for something like this, you'll get like 25 to 40 bucks. And you're gonna be getting the quality of something from Theory. Like it's really, really nice stuff. Check secondhand if you have not, and if you don't have something like that in your closet. So this bundle was priced at $71 with my discount, and she offered me $60, which I gladly accepted. This is all same day that I listed it. She had kind of messaged me and asked when those pieces were gonna be listed, so I listed them for her. And with a $2 cost at the bins total, this brought me to a profit of $46 even. I hope she loves that blue shirt. I know she'll love the Theory shirt. That's just like a slam dunk, but that blue shirt is just, again, one of my favorite things that I've ever sourced, ever. It's simple, it's elegant, and it's different. I love it. I almost kept it. Next up here, this is a blue button-down shirt from a brand called Stone Rose, and I'm very interested to hear if this is a brand that you guys pick up. This kind of gives me like Robert Graham vibes. They do button-down shirts that have a lot of like interesting details to them. Like right now I'm buttoning these buttons up and it's like a blue shirt with purple buttons. And the buttonholes are like slanted and in groups of two. Like, so there's little details like that that are very, very different. You know, you can tell that there's absolutely no expense spared on manufacturing of these. I don't know if you can see this, but in the back here, there's like a little kind of pleat detail, and in that pleat is a contrast blue plaid. You know, just knowing that like every stitch, every detail on a shirt costs extra money in manufacturing. You think about stuff like that, and it's just an interesting brand. Like I've sold a couple pieces from there. They all sell pretty well. You know, it's not something that you're gonna get $75 for them. I do think I've seen some Stone Rose pieces that have gone, you know, up in that range, but something like this, like a basic blue shirt, not so much. But still, it is interesting. It is a brand that people know, people look for. I've had a lot of interest on this, and it's sold really quick. So let me know, like, do you see Stone Rose a lot? Do you sell it well? Is it something that used to sell better for you? I'm sure it's something that used to sell better because, you know, I just think that like these kind of casual button-down shirts. So I think that the like arena for wearing stuff like this is kind of dwindling a little bit. But there are still a lot of guys out there who love stuff like this. Robert Graham always sells real quick. So I had this guy listed for just under 1 month. Again, they sell pretty quick, and that's been about the same as every other piece that I've ever had. And I had it listed for $32, got an offer for $25, which I did accept. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $19. That's about what you can expect for something like this. Somewhere between 20 and like 32, 33. But really beautiful shirt. If you are shopping for something like this and you don't know this brand, definitely check it out because it will be cheaper than Robert Graham and it's got like all the quality details. Maybe a little bit less in like the embroidery arena, but definitely a brand to keep your eyes out for if you like those kind of button downs with interest. Next up, we all love Vince, another one of those brands that just, you know, astronomically high retail price, doesn't resell in line with the retail price, but it's still gorgeous stuff. If you're able to source this inexpensively, you should absolutely be sourcing this inexpensively. Because it does sell, they have a lot of people that really love the brand. Like this is silk and linen, I believe. Light as a feather. Again, this was an extra small, so I kind of anticipated this sitting for a pretty long time, but I do love to pick up Vince. I love picking up these like really high quality basics brands. As long as I can get them at the right price, this is something that 100% I will pick up every time. But again, if you're able to source at the bins, this is a great brand. They make beautiful stuff. And you know I love selling like really high quality stuff like that otherwise would cost them $300, which this sweater would cost somebody about $300 because that's about where Vince sells. Wildly expensive stuff. Beautiful stuff, but wildly expensive nonetheless. So I had this listed for about 3 months and I had it listed for $40 and I got an offer for $30.70, which I did accept with that was $32.70. Cannot read my own handwriting. And with a $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $28.26. I hope she loves it. That is such a beautiful little like great basic sweater with real interest to it. Next up, now this is a brand I want you to keep your eyes out for. This is from a brand called Clare V. And Clare V, I knew for the most part because of their purses. I didn't even know that they had clothing. But I recognized the name and I grabbed it. This is the label. I mean, it's such a basic label that if you're not familiar with it, you might pass right by it. And I don't want you to do that. But they make beautiful leather bags, really like high end. They sell for like, I want to say like $300-400 if you ever find one. Like, definitely pick it up. These, for example, this is like a pinwheel corduroy color block short in very much like a retro sport style, which is gonna be really popular again this summer. So make sure you're using like retro sport. You're looking for things that look like fun plays on gym clothes in the 80s, right? And these retailed, I wanna say it was like $115 or $118. Pretty pricey. I mean, beautiful quality, 100% cotton. The fit is really cute. Like, I love the style of these. 100% something I would wear. Sold comps on these were between like $30 and like $50. So again, a brand to be on the lookout for. So I had this listed for just 2 weeks. I had it listed at $42 and I got an offer for $35, which I did accept with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $28.06. So hope she loves it. They are so cute. And again, it is January right now. So people are buying shorts and they are buying swimsuits because they are going on vacation and you cannot find this stuff in stores. So don't hold that stuff to list until like springtime because people are buying it now. Like, I think this is the first ship with me in a couple weeks where I have not had a swimsuit. So do with that information as you may. All right, we were almost there and we are losing daylight. Okay, next up, hello. How's that for a little girl's dress? This is from Burberry. If you are not familiar with the plaid or the Novacek, I'm pretty sure that's what they call it, the Novacek. This is a cute little size 4 girl's dress, absolutely adorable. Again, just trying to keep this nice and smooth where I fold it. Again, one of those things, I mean, like if you're gonna be buying designer clothes for your kids, why are you not buying them secondhand? They fit for like 2 days, so you may as well buy them secondhand. Have them wear them the 2 or 3 times that they're gonna be able to wear them, and then turn around and resell them for exactly what you bought them for. But Burberry is obviously a forever pickup. It is classic. This, for all I know, could be 10 years old. Nobody would know because they don't really change their styles. Very, very traditional, very classic. Always really great construction, really great fabrics, really great textiles, really classic silhouettes. So, you know, if you see it, please pick it up. Feel free to pay up for it. Burberry is insanely expensive. I want to say that the little girls' dresses today are selling for like $4.95. So just to give you like a concept of how expensive this stuff is. So I had this listed for about 2.5 months. I had it listed at $100 and I got an offer for $75, which I did accept. That's about what you can expect to get for a little, you know, kind of like a toddler Burberry dress. And with a $1 cost of the bins, which is wild to me that I found this in the bins, this brought me to a profit of $60.43. I hope she absolutely loves it and that little girl looks absolutely adorable in it. And finally, oh, you know I love a vintage beaded cardigan. Look at this thing. Do you see the sparkle on that? This is from probably the 60s, just looking at the tag, maybe the 50s. No, this is the 60s or 70s. Made in Hong Kong, usually you can tell. Hong Kong used to do a lot of beaded pieces like this. This is overall in excellent condition. This is lamb's wool and Angora blend. And it's a size 44, which I believe if memory serves me right, that translates to a size extra large, which, I mean, you just don't find vintage pieces like this in an extra large all that often. It is so fabulous. And one of the things that I love, and I've had my hands on a couple of these sweaters from Hong Kong, these like heavily beaded sweaters, is that a lot of them are lined. And this one is lined in like I want to say that this is like a nylon or kind of like a viscose. And it just makes these so much more comfortable for all day wear, especially like this one. This one in particular is made to only have a fastener up at the top. So this makes it a little bit easier to wear over another garment. You know, you're not having your sleeves catching as you're trying to put the cardigan on, but like obsessed. The brand on this is Eve. Never heard of it, but if you present something like this to me in the thrift or in the bins, I'm gonna buy it. And if I need to, I'm gonna pay up for it because I know that stuff like this will always sell. I always like to talk about like the gateway drugs into vintage, and this is a perfect example of something that can easily be a step into wearing vintage stuff that isn't too risky. You know, it is a basic, it's black, it's beaded, it is something that you can easily mix with a modern dress. It's vintage, so it's special, and it's beaded, so it's special, but it's not like over the top funky, and it's not like a really unusual silhouette. You know, so if you are wanting to dip your toes into wearing vintage stuff, something like this, a great beaded cardigan, or like a great classic black dress is a really easy way to do it and work it into your existing wardrobe. These kind of things, every time I see them, I will pick them up. And I'm always a little bit of flutter when I see one because I just love them, and I never find them in black. I found a lot of them in cream. I guess that was a more popular color back in the day. Black, I rarely see. So I had this listed for about 2 months. Vintage pieces generally take a little bit longer to sell just because they're vintage. It's just, you know, a smaller buyer pool. But I had it listed for $48 and it popped through as a full price sale. So while vintage pieces usually do take a little bit longer to sell, they're far more likely to be sold as a full price sale. Just because it's not like something that they can, you know, if they don't make the deal for it, like if they make an offer for it and I don't accept it, that they can just go and find another. That's just not how vintage works. This is, for all intents and purposes, one of a kind on the market. So vintage will forever be my favorite and perfect example of my favorite kind of vintage stuff to pick up. Hope she absolutely loves it. But that is it, guys. That is my shipment for today. Thank you so much for hanging with me while I literally get my work done. I always have so much fun yakking with you while I get my stuff packed up and ready to go, but it is about 4:30, so I need to get these things packed up and into my car and over to the post office right now. So if you guys had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. Of course, if you have any content ideas that you would like to see me do, don't ever hesitate to put them in the comments below. I'm always ears open. But guys, without further ado, have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you all in the next one.